Hi, this is Paula, and this is the stone that whoever holds it has to do the talking and the other people don't. And I'm still trying to learn that valuable lesson. I'm here today with Richard and, of course, my son Tom on drums. And Richard and I both watched the Jon Stewart This Week Tonight or something. Is that what it's called?
Last week.
Last week tonight.
Yeah.
And I was very fascinated by the subject matter this week, so I wrote something up to start the discussion about this. So this thing is called felony murder, which I didn't know existed. No. I'm not sure if I should thank John Oliver or stop watching his show after learning about this dreadful law. After all, isn't ignorance bliss? The topic of John Oliver's show last week was felony murder. This is different from the felony you commit when you perpetrate a first-degree murder, defined by Webster as the crime of unlawfully and unjustifiably killing a person with premeditation. What makes felony murder different is that you don't actually need premeditation. In fact, you don't even have to kill someone or even think about killing someone. You just have to be a participant in a felony crime where someone is killed on purpose, accidentally, by someone not involved in the crime, or even by a police officer. You don't have to be an adult. The youngest age for a person to be prosecuted as an adult and sentenced for a crime that falls under the definition of felony murder was a 13-year-old. In the felony murder rule, the intent to commit the underlying felony replaces the requirement to prove the typical intent to kill required for other forms of murder. The prosecution only needs to prove that the defendant intended to commit the felony and that a death resulted from the crime. The death must occur during the commission, attempted commission, or immediate flight from the crime scene. The crimes generally underlying the felony murder charge are things like robbery, burglary, arson, rape, and kidnapping. Felony murder is often classified as first-degree murder, so it carries the most severe penalties.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me turn my volume down.
Okay.
I want to answer Vanessa.
One second, please.
Okay, continue.
Okay. So a felony murder is often classified as first-degree murder, so it carries the most severe penalties, including life imprisonment and sometimes even the death penalty. Oliver went on to tell stories of young men who got 51 or 60-year prison terms when they were at the tender age of 17. Some got life without parole. These weren't all minors, but even one minor being charged as an adult in this situation is inhumane. Adolescents have diminished culpability since their brains have not fully developed and they don't yet understand the full extent of the consequences of their actions. At 17, people are still subject to peer pressure. Let's say one of your crazy friends decides it might be fun to rob a liquor store. You and two of your friends enter the store and the owner has a gun and shoots one of your friends and he dies. You and your other friend are deemed guilty of felony murder. To be fair, in some states, if one of the people involved in the crime is shot and killed, this could be an exception to the rule, but not in all states. Even if you are the driver of a car and your friends go into a store and commit a crime and a death ensues, even if you did not know they were going to commit a crime, you can be charged with felony murder. The reasoning behind the felony murder charge is to be a deterrent to committing felonies. How can this be a deterrent if the only people who know about it are those being charged? Shouldn't we all know that this exists?
Very good question.
Well, this was the first when I first heard that he was going to do a segment on felony murder, I just thought he meant murder, you know.
Yeah.
And I did not know that this is a thing, and it's a thing in all in all the states, they have some rules about this. That they are subject, the people involved in the crime, even if they didn't do the murdering, even if it was a policeman who shot somebody that was in the store, trying to stop the crime, everybody involved in the crime can go to prison for felony murder. And it's like, it's a 61 year life without parole, life with parole, all these major sentences. And of course, it's an inordinately large amount of people of color that are put in this situation. A lot of people who, or people who are in a low socioeconomic group, because these are the people that, you don't find a lot of guys who have a lot of money to spend going into liquor stores and robbing liquor stores, unless it's for kicks. But I can't even imagine that. So what do you think about this, Richard?
Well, I wanted to hear the right-wing justification. And apparently it's, we want to send a message, don't hang out with bad people. Because when they do something wrong, if you're in the vicinity, you're going to get charged for what they got charged for.
Okay, when you're 16 or 17 years old, you have a good sense of who seems like fun and who's dangerous.
Good point.
It's
a good point.
I did have some friends that were not playing with the full deck at that age, and I thought, oh, they're risk takers, and they're no, Vanessa, most people are not bad people. I mean, you might feel that way right now, but that's not I think that people, especially young people, are very easily persuaded into bad behavior. If their friends are doing it. It's like my mother used to say, and I'm sure your mother said this too. If your friends jump off a bridge, you're going to jump in after them.
Right. Right.
And I used to think that was crazy. I'd say, no, of course not. But what she meant was, you're following the behavior of these people. These people are doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And you're saying, well, all my friends are doing it. And that's...
Yeah, it's a way of saying be careful who you choose as role models.
Yeah. Well, I had some really shady role models, but I didn't make the connections or think about the implications of that until I was much older, and I started thinking back on some of my poor choices as a young person. And I just and when working on my own evolution, and the one thing that I heard that really helped me with these situations was, if this happened to you now, you'd make a different choice based on what you've learned in your life. Of course I would. I wouldn't have made those choices. I still cringe sometimes when I think about some of the things that we did. And but after learning why it was wrong, after my frontal and my lizard brain and frontal cortex connected sometime right before the age of 30, I started thinking differently, and that's what happens. And now these kids are stuck in prison for 50 years, for 60 years, and they're starting to overturn some of them, these organizations that try to bring justice to the justice system. It's not going to happen for everybody, though. There's so many people who are stuck in these situations. And I mean, what happens to you? You go to prison when you're 17 and you don't get out until you're 70? What the hell?
It makes you think that there are people who want all black people put in prison.
Right. They showed several people that were not black in that John Oliver thing. But you could tell they were, you know, poor kids that grew up poor. They were not kids that grew up in a environment where there was nurturing and a lot of extra spending money and things like that. So it's poverty and color that's getting people into these situations.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah. So, you know, and that's just the same thing with poor neighborhoods. You know, your poor neighborhoods tend to be dangerous neighborhoods because people are desperate. And no, should you even consider robbing a liquor store? No. But if you're desperate, what are your I was watching something again today. Oh, on Sunday morning. I record that show Sunday morning. It's kind of corny, but they have stories sometimes that I find interesting. And on this, they were talking about the working class homeless.
Yeah, I saw that story. I didn't see the story, but I saw it advertised.
Yeah, so they were talking about how these families, in this one particular case, the woman had just had her second or third child, and she was without a paycheck for a few months because, you know, our system in this country for maternity leave is crap. And so they missed, like, they were a couple days late on their rent, and they got evicted. Now they have to live in this, they're called extended stay motels, and they're paying twice as much to live indoors as they were paying for their rent.
Wow.
So they're paying like $90 a day to live in a bedroom with a little kitchenette
Yeah.
and a bathroom with 3 kids.
Right. This is how capitalism can prey on poor people.
Well, and apparently this is not unusual. There's a lot of people, and what the newscaster was saying is that it's a big business for these extended stay places. They're making a fortune off of these people. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Birth lottery. That's one way of looking at it.
It's true of payday loans.
Oh God, those are so dangerous, and they're so high. The interest is so high.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they're predatory.
And rent to own.
Oh, the furniture thing. Yeah, yeah. And do you know? Okay, I am not in that classification. I am, you know. Thank goodness we bought the house when we bought it. We have a safe place to live. It's warm. We like it. And I bought my car. And when I bought my car, I was short. Let me see. It was about $4,000 or $5,000 short to pay cash for it.
I see.
So I took out a loan for that amount. I've been paying on the loan since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And now my payoff, if I want to pay off the loan, is $6,000 something.
Is that what was the original loan for?
I think it was for like $5,000. So with the
So you're going to get harpooned an
the
additional
interest, all right.
$1,000.
So I asked them if I paid it off today, how much would I pay? And that they told me $6,000 something. And so she said, well, you are accruing $1.35 a day in interest. And I have a pretty good rate because I have good credit. Imagine these people who have a rate of 25 or 30% on a car loan because they don't have good credit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a racket. It's a racket that is destroying the lower and even the middle class. You know, I'm not quite middle class, but somebody who manages her money well, who gets in the situation, and if I figured out if I paid it off, because I think it's a 7-year loan, because I wanted a really low payment, so I wouldn't have to struggle. If I it would be over $10,000.
Hmm.
It's like, it's crazy.
Hmm.
This is not the way this is supposed to work. Wasn't usury originally a sin? You know?
It was.
Yeah, until capitalism took over.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, the whole thing about compound interest.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was 26,
Mm-hmm.
the news was flooded with stories that you better plan your own retirement because Social Security is going to fall apart,
Mm-hmm.
which didn't happen.
No.
But
Not yet.
nevertheless, I said, okay, I got to do it. So
That's pretty smart for a 26-year-old, Richard. I congratulate
Yeah, well, wait
you.
to hear how modest this is. So I read this article saying if you can only put aside $10 a month into a savings account with a CD,
Yeah.
by the time you retire, you'll have over $100,000.
Mm-hmm. Which sounded pretty good at the time.
Sounded really good. They said because let's say you put aside this year $10 a month, so you have 120 bucks, and then you something happens and you can't do anything with it. You know, you can't keep doing it.
Yeah.
By the time you retire, that $120 will turn into $50,000 if you do nothing. Nothing. You just leave it alone.
At the rate of interest that was the going rate back then.
Because what compound what the compound interest is still at 7%. I don't know if you know that.
I guess I don't know what that means.
That means that if you put in $100, you get $170 at the end of the year.
But with my savings account, I don't accrue that. It's like 1%.
I know. That's why you got to put it in the long-term CDs.
But the long-term CDs at my bank, they have a minimum deposit of $10,000 or $25,000.
Very good. Notice how it favors the wealthy.
I can't just take $200 and put it in a CD. There's no such thing as that.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
So, you know, with my limited funds, if I took every single penny that Greg and I had and decided, okay, I'm going to put this into a CD,
Yeah.
then we wouldn't have any money if an emergency came up.
Well, when you cash in a CD, they take a huge cut. So you can cash in a CD.
Oh, yeah, but before it matures.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, why would I do that? Because I have to have some cash on hand
I see.
in case there's an emergency.
Sure.
I can't say, oh, I'm going to get this 6 or 7% interest
Mm-hmm.
based on this $10,000 that I come up with, because that's all the money I have.
Yeah,
You know, so I can't do that. So right, it favors the rich.
So, I mean, there's been so many movies where the kidnapper contacts the person who they've kidnapped their child and they say, I want $100,000 and I want it dropped off tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And the parents always say, you know, our money is tied up. It's not like something we have in a suitcase under the bed. Don't
Yeah.
you realize that? You know? But the kidnappers, they don't think, you know?
Yeah, well, they don't have the knowledge of the banking system
Right.
the same way somebody who does have money would have.
Yeah.
I know that my sister, whose husband passed away a couple of years ago, her husband, he wasn't a wealthy man, but he worked. He was a police officer on the railroad for Amtrak,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew how to manipulate money. He knew. You know, you take a chunk, you put it in this account, then when that matures, you take it out and you find a better rate and you put it in that one and you don't touch it. You just keep rolling it over.
That's a good way of putting it.
So it left my sister in a good situation
Nice.
because she doesn't have financial worries, right?
Sure.
So, but not everyone understands that that's how things work.
Mm-hmm.
That's a skill set, Atari Combat cartridges. All right, Vanessa, if you want to turn those in, take them to the bank and see if they give you any interest on those.
Mm-hmm.
Got to sell them first. Yeah, it's only things are. You know what I like? I love Antiques Roadshow. I get a big kick out of that. Because not only do
Yeah, they tell you what it's worth, but they don't tell you how to get that money. Did you ever notice that?
Actually, you could. They would take if you decided. Let's say you had something that you bought at a garage sale for $10 and it's worth $20,000.
Yeah.
You can take. You can. Some of those people that take care of the evaluation,
Yeah.
they have access to auctions, so they could actually take it to the auction for you.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so people have turned things over as as per their evaluations.
Yeah.
But what I love is when I'm watching it and they're doing a one from the 1997,
Yeah.
and then they go in and they show you what it's worth today. So many times the price drops exponentially.
Huh.
It's like okay, this a vase that was made by a fine maker in Paris,
Yeah.
Lalique or something.
Yeah.
Lalique vase. In 1997, people were collecting those, and it was worth $8,000. Now nobody gives a shit, and it's worth $2,000.
I see.
So if there's a sweet spot that you have to
Very
be
good.
in.
Yeah.
And so someday, Vanessa, you'll come to find that those Atari things aren't worth bupkis anymore.
Oh, you mean they might have passed the sweet spot?
Well, they're approaching the place where the value is high, and then people all of a sudden aren't going to give a shit anymore.
I see.
Yes, so Lori is saying antiques, the penny saver. Oh my gosh, I haven't looked at a penny saver in years. But you can sell things, on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and I've got, but you're not going to get top dollar at those places. Right. So
Well, I tried selling things on Facebook, and I also sell things on eBay.
yeah.
I have found there's a lot of flaky people on Facebook.
Well, it's the same on Craigslist. These are local people who are supposed to pick it up, and they'll tell you they want it, and they'll never.
So that would be an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Or somebody would say to me, "Oh, my kid has a soccer game this weekend. I really want to buy your camera. Tell me more about it." I tell them more about it, then they never respond.
Yeah. Well, this is a new cultural thing. That's ghosting.
Uh-huh.
Like instead of saying no, thank you, I'm not interested, they'll just stop. They will stop contacting you. That's just a new thing. It's just a rude new thing that people do.
Yeah.
All right. So. So we're having a
A comment war.
right a face off between Lori and Vanessa. So I want to see equal Lori and Vanessa on the screen there. They're Thomas, my son. I have
Oh, so anyway, this thing about the people you hang out with,
yeah.
be careful who they
Yeah.
are, reminds me of something I came across this week. I was listening to a political speech by a right-wing pundit,
Uh-huh.
and he said something that will sound familiar. Where you are now in life is the aggregate of all the choices you made.
Absolutely. Do you believe that?
But there's a problem with that.
Okay.
Suppose you live in a neighborhood of very poor people.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, if you want to have any kind of social life, you have to hang out with other poor people, and desperate people do desperate things.
Yes. Yeah. So it's true, even if that truth is sad.
Ah,
Because every single, and Greg and I talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
All the choices we've made through life, they create a trajectory that goes in one direction, and then it's like, and I had compared it, I think in one of my essays, to being in a pinball machine. You hit one thing and you bounce off and you go in another direction. But if you wouldn't have made that decision, you would have gone this way. And so it's, and you have to, in order to figure out how you got where you are,
Yeah.
you have to kind of go backward and figure out, okay, why am I here? Okay, the last thing that happened that put me here is this. And then you have to keep trying to go back and back and back, but it's almost impossible. So, the more carefully you make your choices, the better off you're going to be. But that doesn't mean that something isn't going to go amiss. But it is every single thing that we've done from childhood has led to where we are now. And you were very practical. For some reason, you had a lot of practicality at a young age. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Do you think your father
Could be.
instilled that into you?
Well, this ties into a discussion that Vanessa and I have been having called influences.
Mm-hmm.
Can somebody influence you without you realizing it?
Oh, yeah.
So, like we were talking about Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra being friends,
Mm-hmm.
who influenced who? And I said, you
Probably
really
together.
can't tell,
Yeah.
Like, Dean could have influenced Frank could have influenced Dean,
In different areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. You cannot step into a pond without getting wet.
Very good. So this thing about influences made me think of when I visited my brother in Missouri in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I did when I went in the house is I said, do you mind if we go to a supermarket? Because the food you eat is different from the food I eat. He said, no problem. So we went to a supermarket and I bought my food. And I was there for like 4 days. Then I would always have my food when they were having their food. So then a year after that visit, his daughter came to visit me.
Mm-hmm.
And in passing, she said, you should see my father. He's like half a size of what he used to be. And I said, is it a new diet? And she said, yeah. I said, when did this start? She said, and she gave me the month and the year. That was right after I visited him.
He observed what you were doing.
I think I influenced him without him realizing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he may have realized it, but he was certainly not going to call you up and say, hey, I'm going to take your good example here.
I've often wondered that.
Yeah, but even, I think that anyone that you're friends with or you rub up against at some point is going to influence you in a certain way. I mean, I can't imagine being a person who could walk through the crowd and not get some kind of give and take from that crowd. I mean, you can overhear something that somebody says that you don't even know.
Yeah.
And it can change the direction of your life. Japanese cheesecakes for Richard. Lori, don't do that. Anyway, so we kind of. All right. Name a person that influenced you in your life that wasn't one of your parents.
That I am aware of.
That you're aware of, yeah.
This guy in grammar school named Carl,
Okay.
who was a neat fanatic.
Uh-huh.
And he influenced me about being organized.
Ah.
I used to look over and see how organized he was. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So you watched what he did and you saw that it helped him
Right.
in some way. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I think I think most of the people I can come up with, they influenced me the wrong way. But I mean, I have that whole thing about Kenny making me read. You know, when I never was a reader.
You
know,
mean he would buy you books,
no,
or
he
you would see him
he
reading?
he dared me
Oh, he
to read
dared you.
to read a book because I told him reading's boring, life is interesting. I want to live my life. I don't care what other people have to say.
Uh-huh.
And he dared me to read a book, and I did, and it changed my life completely.
What was the book? Do you remember?
Yeah, The World According to Garp.
Oh, John Irving, I
Yeah.
think it is, right? So you saw a lot of symbolism in that.
I was blown away. I said, "This is an anomaly. Other books are not good like this. This is something you tricked me. This is a book that is really good and that's interesting and fun to read, but other books aren't like that." So he gave me another one. I don't remember what the second one was. But I'm I am eternally grateful, even though he claims that I'm dead. I'm eternally grateful to him for having.
You mean in 2025 he still doesn't?
He believed he told me at some point that I was dead, and dead to him, and that he would never speak with me again. And I've never spoken to him since.
I see.
Yeah.
You
But
haven't
he
reached out.
But he corrected my grammar from Eastside Lovejoy grammar to human being grammar. He taught me. He basically got me to read. And how could I ever repay him for that? You know, that was a miracle.
Don't you think it's a mistake to totally do what he did, cut people out of your life?
I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, I do too.
But he, I mean, his wife, his current wife, or I think he's still married to her. He, she didn't like me. That she was the one who suggested that when he filed for divorce, it said in the paperwork that I could change my name back because she didn't want another Mrs. Hamburg running around. So that was, and that was good. I'm glad she did that. But Lori, to answer your question, Oedipus Rex was in high school, and that book was it saved my life because it showed me a life that was worse than mine. And so I had something to hang on to. But that was the only thing. That and Flowers for Algernon were the only two things I read in high school. Everything else I did the Cliff Notes or whatever else I could get.
And you didn't get much out of the Cliff Notes?
I got enough
Yeah.
to pass, So I was able to skate by. But I'm glad I'm a reader. I mean, I don't know who I'd be now if I didn't read. I don't know who I'd be. I'd be one of the people that I run into from high school who never reads.
To this day.
Yeah. So let's go to one of your topics, Richard. We haven't been to a topic yet, and we're halfway through.
November 14th, 1960. What was in the news? Are you aware?
1960, I was pretty young. I don't have a historical sense of that, no.
The federal government had told New Orleans at the beginning of the year, you've got to the end of the year to desegregate your schools.
Ah.
So they waited all the way until the 11th month, and then finally they did it. Two schools in particular were all white, but now they had to let in black students who dared go. There were takers.
Wow, that took a lot of bravery.
It did. So there were three girls who went to McDonough Elementary, and there was one girl who attended William Frantz Elementary. So now, we're talking about an elementary school here, like, a 9-year-old. she had to have a police escort take her to school.
I saw something like that in, was it Alabama or Mississippi? I didn't know it was.
Well, New Orleans, which is
Yeah,
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Now, this is how racist the people are in Louisiana. Not only did they show up for the first week or so and yell at the black child going to school, just one,
Yeah.
this is the school that only had one. There were whites who then refused to let their kids go to that school because now there was one black student in it. These people were shouting obscenities and throwing things at her as she was walking toward the school with this armed escort. Of all the teachers in that school, only one teacher said, yeah, I'll teach the new student. For the entire year, it was the teacher and the one student, because none of the other students would go to that teacher. So you're saying, well, what happened in the second year? Okay. In the second year, there were people who lived on the same street as this young girl, who, when she would be waiting for the school bus, would go outside and either tell her things like, I plan on poisoning you, poisoning your family's water supply.
Well, so she wasn't living in a segregated neighborhood?